Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. I'm joined here once again with Brian Baldwin, like I am every single Tuesday. Brian has been really gracious with his time, joining me every week to bring you everything you need to know about the upcoming high school football slate. He is with Miss 98 Scores on Twitter, the Miss 98 Scoreboard Show. They do a great job every Friday night from 9:30 to 11 on 97.5 or the Miss 98 app, which is how I listen to it. It's an incredible app. Never buffers, never skips anything. Just hammers right through it. So they do a great job. But Brian, how you doing today, bud?
Man, I'm doing great. I can't complain. It's a little rainy, but as my,
Mm-hmm.
my my uncle would say back in the day, we needed this. Between
Man,
Francine and this, I've had about enough rain. But this is fine. It's a little gloomy. A good day to be indoors talking with you. I'd like to tell the folks out in the world out there. If you don't really care for Jason Aldean or Morgan Wallen or people like that, and you don't listen to the Miss 98 scoreboard or the Miss 98 like channel like all the time, I get it. But put a reminder in your phone at 9:30 on Friday night to tune in. I have to put a reminder in my phone to make sure that I go to the right place on Friday. So I get it with our busy lives. But like I
mm-hmm.
said, if Miranda Lambert ain't your thing, I fully understand. But hopefully Tupelo and Amory and Saltillo and Houston and Boonville and places
Mm-hmm.
like that scores is your thing.
Yeah, it's y'all really do an incredible job with it. You and Andy and Balfour, y'all do a good job keeping everybody informed, all the scores, everything that goes on. So let's go ahead and dive into it a little bit.
Absolutely.
First of all, where is the show going this week? Y'all always do an on-site, watch some of a certain game. Where are y'all going to go, and kind of what are y'all looking for?
So this week, we always base our game on rivalry,
Uh-huh.
implications, team record, like where are they, in terms of their region and their classification. We also factor in fish house availability, like where is good
That's right.
around there. And this week, we're able to check off all three boxes. We're going to go to the Mantachi Morville game. I think it's the Battle of Highway 371. I can't be so
371.
sure. Will
That's it.
Balfour will be perfect with the rivalry
Mm-hmm.
name. But Mantachi and Morville are long-time rivals. And they're on the same street pretty much. They're
Yep,
separated by a
they are.
county line. And it'll be fun. And, they're both pretty good teams. They were undefeated coming into last week. Both teams lost games last week, but that didn't diminish our desire to go. And probably because of the Fish House. Centerville Fish
About
House
to say,
is
I knew
it's
exactly where you were going.
in terms of, we've talked about it before, in terms of catfish fillets, it's the holy grail around here. It's great. We love the Fish House in Troy for being able to shut the door and have a little bit of everything and the uniqueness of the menu on the wall and things like that. But Centerville is the granddaddy of them all in terms of catfish, and we're pumped.
Hmm.
It's going to be really awesome. And then after that, we go to the Mantachi Morville game. We're going to sneak by Tupelo High School. We're going to get down there on the sideline and watch them as they take on Houston, Tennessee. The Mustangs of Houston High School in Tennessee, probably the best team in the city up there, and probably maybe in the entirety of Shelby County. And if they're the best team in Shelby County, they're good. We've seen
They're good, yeah.
MUS go to South Panola in the past with Barry Brunetti and those guys and beat
Hmm.
South Panola, and then we've seen other really good squads out of Memphis. Your Briarcrest with Michael Orr challenge top tier teams in Mississippi. And this will be no different. Last year, Tupelo lost a last second controversial game at Houston. It's tough to go up there and play, with their officials and then their home crowd and stuff like that. It's just a little different vibe in Memphis, and Houston it's a suburb school. It's not really a community. It's not a Tupelo. It's more like if you would relate it to a South Haven in our area. It's just something that popped up, out of necessity between Horn Lake and Olive Branch all those years ago. Houston popped up when Germantown High School got too big, and they needed something a little farther out east. So when you go up there, the crowd is kind of dead. You know what I mean? But when they come here, it's going to be different. Tupelo is going to be packed. The fans in Tupelo know it's a big revenge game from last year, and it's also the last real big test before they get into district play. So we want to make sure we check that out. Houston's got some college level players. They were upset by Whitehaven out of Memphis last week, another good program, and Tupelo beat Whitehaven earlier in the year. So if you go back to math class and you go transitive property is A is equal to B and B is equal to C, A is probably also equal to C. And we feel the transitive property will work here in Tupelo's favor, but it'll be a good game with a lot of athletes. So we'll hit up Manatee after Centerville Fish and Steak and then go to Tupelo before we head to the scoreboard show. It'll be a lot of fun.
Okay.
And, it's a totally different vibe in both places. Manatee Morville has a lot of kids who are going to be, after high school, they'll be going to junior college to ICC. They'll be going into the work field. Some of those folks will be playing, maybe some junior college sports. But Tupelo, I'll be sitting by Jarayla McCoy, junior, 6'5", 250 pounds, got offers from everybody in the SEC. If not, they should. I'll be by Noah Gillen, a 6'3", college level quarterback at some place. And then we got JJ Hill, he's another person who's already been a D1 committed as a junior. They'll just be standing there all around the sidelines. So it'll be a different vibe from both places, but we look forward to hitting up both spots because they're unique in their own way.
Yeah. Tupelo is absolutely loaded with Division I athletes, like you said, man. That's kind of been the theme for Tupelo here the last few years, right? You've seen the talent really grow the last several years here in Tupelo at that high school, and not just in football, baseball too. It's a really big high school, and they're really starting to develop players.
Right.
Is this going to be y'all's first double dip this year, going to Morville first and then Tupelo? That's not something you'll normally do, is it?
It's not. It's our first double dip, but we thought it was necessary to go check out Tupelo versus a really good team. People ask me to say, when's Tupelo going to get tested? And this is the one I've been talking about all year. And we've been hyping it up internally and regionally, and we should go check it out. Coach Harden, he calls in every week, tells us about their game, win, lose, or tie. And, he does a good job promoting his kids. And our show is about promoting teams, promoting kids, promoting coaches, talking scores, entertainment, and with the bigger schools in our area, as well as the regional favorites, as I like to call them. Everybody likes to hear about Manatee, Morville, because they're a county school, and then Tupelo being the big have in our area right now with players, facilities, and coverage. Being able to hit all of those in one spot on one night is great. I wish we were able to hit up, Shannon and TCPS. It's homecoming at TCPS this week. They always really do it up there and hit them all up in 1 week. But we might try that sometime, But it's really fun to hit the double dip. And when we walk to Manatee and Morville, they'll open the side gate and we'll slide on the field. And then when we get to Tupelo, man, we'll have to wade through a sea of people near the south end zone gate on the track. And, there's a huge jumbotron. It's so bright. It's like, to quote Carl from Aqua Teens, it's out there glowing like the freaking sun. And we like it there as well. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big games in the area. Last week we went to Houston. We talked about that when they had a really good game against Saltillo, who's sneaky good. And but Houston's big. They're fast. They're something. We got to see Cale Armstrong in person.
If you think Saltillo's good now, wait till a young man named Walt Vandegrift gets of age and starts throwing them pads on there.
Dude, he'll be running the annexation of Puerto Rico at him. I know him for sure.
It's the only thing he'll know how to run.
But that's all you need. If you got one that can't stop, that's all you need.
Right.
We got some big games in the area for some some of our teams. Baldwin is at West Lowndes. That's a 1A matchup. West Lowndes got some good athletes. They play in that Golden Triangle area. So, you never know really how good they are because they're probably playing against somebody like Columbus or West Point. And this week they got a 3-1 Baldwin squad that they're hosting. Boonville is at North Pontotoc. Both squads 2-2. Boonville's pretty good. They beat Houston and coming off a Skunk Bowl win last week against the Baldwin team I just mentioned. Center Hill hosts Hernando. Center Hill's got some players. You'll be hearing about, names of theirs coming through in the next few years. They've got a good sophomore class to keep an eye on. Cleveland Central is 4-0, and they are at Charleston. Two really good Mississippi Delta squads to keep an eye on. Cleveland Central's got some players as well. South Panola hosts Clinton. Huge game in our area. As I said, Clinton's a good football squad. They beat Brandon a few weeks ago. South Panola's 3-1, and they're really good. They're on their way back, and they have got guys who are kin to guys who we have seen playing in the vault. So keep an eye on their roster. They are definitely on their way back. Amory hosts Corinth. That'll be a really, really good matchup in our area. Cañon City is 3-0, and I'm going to tell you something about Cañon City. They are a really good football squad. 1A through 3A, I think they could almost be the favorite in the North in any class. And this week they've got East Webster, who's 4-0. East Webster is really good as well. So those are just some kind of to keep an eye on in our area. Grenada, I don't know if you've really heard much about them, but they are absolutely loaded. And they're probably taking on the second best team out of Memphis this week. They're playing Bartlett. Bartlett's a really good Shelby County school. So that'll be an interesting to keep an eye on. And it's at Bartlett. And like I said, anytime you cross the state line, it's kind of a unique game based on, officiating, talent, stuff like that. Our buddies at Houston, Mississippi are headed to New Hope. That'll be a fun one. New Hope's good. They're 2-1. Houston's 4-0. Like I said, they're really talented.
Come on, Hilltoppers.
Yeah, come on, Hilltoppers. We're always rooting for Coach Baylor Dampier, Coach Flowers, and the crew. And by the way, they really took care of us last week. Man, it was really cool to go to Houston. The hospitality was awesome. The coach Zane Thomas, an administrator there now, and Amir Hunt, the AD, also an administrator. Man, they let us right there on the field, made sure we didn't need anything. They were great. I guess to round out some of the games in our area, let me find another one here that I like to kind of keep an eye on. You'll want to hear about this one too on Friday night. 3-0 Pontotoc. 3-0 Pontotoc heads to 3-0 New Albany. So you got two longtime friends and Zach Mackins, and the head coach Jeff Carter, former Rebel, headed to New Albany to play Coach Cody Stubblefield and his squad, which is really talented. And they have several guys you should keep your eyes on if you are an Ole Miss or a college football fan in our area. They have the big left tackle. I think his name is Emmanuel Tucker, or his last name is Tucker. And then Braden Shettle's the quarterback. Man, he can play. He's still young. He can sling it. He's an athlete. He's the basketball coach's son, multi-sport athlete, can really play. And they've got a good running back down there as well at New Albany. And Pontotoc going to keep the ball on the ground with the flex bone, going to keep the clock running.
Right.
They stay ahead of the chains, get good field position. So it will be two totally contrasting styles, but that was the last one on my list. It was a fun one to keep up with. We really are friends with both of those guys and both of those staffs, and it's just really cool to catch their game on Friday night. And we couldn't make it there, but it will be interesting to hear that final. And then the last one to keep an eye on in our area that I wanted to wrap it up with, they call it the Little Egg Bowl. The Little Egg Bowl. We got Starkville High School at Oxford. Now, usually this game is two teams that are undefeated or, something in one. But Tupelo's probably had the toughest schedule in North Mississippi. Oxford has had the toughest schedule in North Mississippi so far. They played Tupelo. They've played South Panola. I think they've played Grenada, maybe. And those are three amazing squads. And they're going to Starkville, or they're hosting Starkville. Starkville's 3-1. And Starkville's really good. I think their only loss this year so far has been to Louisville, which pound for pound, 1A through 7A, probably the best team in the state. So it'll be interesting to see how Coach Cutcliffe and the Oxford Chargers playing for Coach Chris Jones and Starkville Yellow Jackets. That'll be the last one that I wanted to mention today. But that's a fun one. And whether you're a high school football fan of either of those teams, that's a good one to go to. I would check that one out.
And actually, so I didn't see exactly what all it was, but it was earlier today as we sit here on a Tuesday. So where Chris Jones is suspended for that game in Oxford, as well as a couple of their players for an altercation they had after the game or during the game last Friday night. So that'll probably be a factor in that game, no doubt about it. When they make the trip up to Oxford,
it will definitely play into the decision. Now, I'm going to say this. I expect Starkville to win. They're better. Oxford's a little down personnel-wise this year compared to them, but they've got good players, So, if there's a distraction or a game situation issue or maybe a motivation issue because nobody does it better than Coach Jones, Oxford keep it close. And, Wes Flanagan, assistant basketball coach at Ole Miss, he has a son that's a defensive back at Oxford. And, Starkville likes to throw it around a little bit. If you can get a pick six by, a Flanagan kid or, force a couple turnovers, keep yourself in it, you got a chance at home. But like last week, it was a 13-10 game at Tupelo at the half. So Oxford can play with anybody. It's just a matter of putting two halves together on a Friday night, and they can do that. So it'll be interesting to see after, like you're talking about, the situation with the coaching staff and stuff like that with the suspensions going on with the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, yeah, and one more thing I wanted to touch on was with the Miss 98 scoreboard show. You kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, and anybody that listens to it hears it every single week. What does it mean to? I mean, obviously the show as a whole, but to you and Balfour and Andy and them, that you're able to get guys like Coach Harden, Coach Stubblefield, Coach Matkins, Coach Flowers from Houston, those kind of guys. They take time out basically every single Friday to come on and talk to y'all about what happened in their game, what's coming up for them the next week, and you really get a look inside the mind of a Mississippi high school coach and what's going on not only that night, but they're almost immediately turning the page, looking at next Friday. Because these are all good football teams, as you've said, most of them win almost every Friday night,
Yep.
right? But they'll touch on that for 3-4 minutes, and then it's automatically. But next week we've got to go to New Albany, like Coach Matkins would say. They're
Right.
playing New Albany this weekend. Just kind of what does it mean to the show, and you guys in particular, if those guys do take time out to come on there and talk about their teams each week.
Oh, it's a big deal to us. I understand the sacrifice these gentlemen make year round, away from their families and kids, take care of other people's families. I mean, other people's kids, and then it's a real labor of love. They don't get paid enough. You know what I mean? And, there's not enough hours in the day. They don't have enough coaches on their staff at any level. It just is what it is. I mean, they have to teach 4 preps in 7 or 8 periods. They got to coach a high school team, a JV team. They got to worry about other sports in the off season. So to get 10 minutes of their time on a Friday night, man, after they have worked so hard all week, and it culminated with the zeros on the clock and a win on the scoreboard, a deep sigh of relief, and now I got to call those guys and play Jason Aldean all day, but it means a lot to us. And what it does, it gives the program a face. The identity sometimes of a community is part of its program, and Tupelo and Coach Harden, they embody that. Tupelo's a working class town. I mean, it is what it is. It's long been fueled by factories and industry and the TVA back during the Depression. And we've never forgotten our roots, here in this area. And when he calls in and talks about how hard his guys played and how tough they were up front, you look at the score and they gave up 3, 6, 10 points. Like the Tupelo people that listen to the show, they're proud of that. Even if their kids don't go to school there anymore, or if they went to school there in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it doesn't matter. Like,
we're still going to keep up with it.
Absolutely. The Houston, when they call in, I get texts from folks from the Houston community all the time who live in Tupelo that graduated there and go, man, thanks for the Houston score. I love that the Hilltoppers are great. I like to give a shout out to the media in our town, the journalists in our area who have to cover these sports teams. They don't have enough time. They're not staffed enough. Guys like Brad Locke at the Daily Journal, they can only cover so much, and then the line they get from the coach, the score, the stats that they're able to draw from and put in there, man, it's extremely tough. And us being able to add to media coverage and journalism in our area, even though it's, broadcast, means a lot to us. And we could not do it without the people that listen to our show and support their programs and our radio show. And we couldn't do it without the coaches. All it would be us reading the scores on the Renaissance rundown, and that would get boring. But, they know, all right, we got the Coach Harden call. We haven't talked to this person. We know Morville won. Sam's going to call in. It's those things are fun. And it gives our show personality. It really does. I enjoy announcing that Chickasaw Equipment has sponsored the Tupelo call and leading it in with some Jimmy Buffett or some Grateful Dead, because, that's what Neil and Ty listened to going through college, and it's being able to know these guys personally and talk to them and get them to share their story about what happened in their game and then what's going on next week and the temperature of their program gives us 10 minutes with an inside look. Not all these high school teams, they don't get inside the season with the Golden Wave, or you don't get, everyday coverage like you do with the Rebels with, the season and stuff like that with South Pontotoc or New Albany. But our 10 minutes will allow the general public to know, hey, man, we're working hard. We're getting after it. The results showed. Next week we go to this school. We host this squad. Here's why it's going to be tough. And here's why you should support us. And it makes our show go round. That's all.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun to listen to, though. Just kind of listening to you talk about those coaches and all that just kind of got me thinking about everything that they do put in the preparation and stuff like that. And then also take time to call in and talk to y'all about what all happened and everything. And like you said, it's not just the coaches. Sam, if Marvel wins, you're going to get a call from him.
Right.
When 11 o'clock hits, you're going to hear Voodoo Lady
Right.
and some long haired fella's going to jump on there and give you some bets. Might go 3-1. I don't know. Maybe that happened last week. Who
Maybe
knows,
you went
right?
3-1.
Maybe
I don't know. Maybe the
3-1.
people.
Who knows?
Maybe the people listening at 11, who were still in their carports, drinking a cold one after their football game and smoking a cig, got on a few of those. Who knows? Who am I to say?
Well,
it is
should.
not solicited sound financial advice, but it is advice.
But it is advice. Do with it what you will.
Yeah.
All right.
I was going to tell you that I really do appreciate your call. It's cool to have you join us with some Ole Miss like real expertise. You're very, very great with your information. You and I are able to. We've been friends for so long that we're able to talk so candidly and so easily, and it flows. But when you get on our show and you start talking about Ole Miss football, in particular the game that's happening on that Saturday, man, it's a wealth of knowledge. And our listeners who listen really get a kick out of it. And my biggest kick out of it, no lie, I mean, I love talking to you and hearing about it, is when I say, can you tell everybody where to find you? And you tell us to find you at OM After Dark. And you can find me personally at Little Fat
Diz.
And I know it. And a few folks know how and where it came from. That's for another podcast. But I love that I get to say that on the air and I can't get censored by the FAA or whatever it is, the FCC, not the FAA, the FCC, and because there's no cussing, but it's weird sounding. It's almost like saying moist on the air.
Hard. Yeah. I try so hard, especially when you want to bring something up about Mississippi State, because the first word that's going to come out of my mouth, and I fight it tooth and nail.
Right.
And
last week you didn't cuss. You did say raise a little hell, and I liked it. I did. It is what it is.
I did. But 2 weeks ago, you had me absolutely convinced I dropped an F-bomb on the air. What was it, Mississippi effing State or blank state, whatever it was. And I was thinking, oh, my God, I did it. I tried so hard, and I still couldn't keep from doing it.
You're on the phone with me and Will and Andy, 3 friends. And it's so easy to talk like we talk. But I appreciate you not doing that, because Dotson, who is our producer of the show, and he's like the station manager at the Mississippi Radio Group, wherever we're at. I can't remember what it's called, but whatever we're at, he doesn't have a dump button. So like if you say it, it's getting out.
It's there.
It's there.
It's there.
We don't have a 5-second delay. We have a, oh crap, we should have pushed the button delay.
Yeah.
But I love it.
It's a lot of fun though.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Speaking of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Rebel football season has been a lot of fun.
It has, and it's about to get a lot more fun because we're finally getting into SEC play. We're done with these preseason games, all these cupcake non-cons. We've played really well. Defense has been tremendous. Offense has been exceptional. Things we need to clean up on the back end of the defense. Obviously, way too many penalties. It's going to end up killing us when conference play gets here if you don't clean it up. But we welcome a really good Kentucky team into town at 11 o'clock. At Vaught Hemingway Stadium on Saturday. What are you looking for from the Rebels? I know you watch them every single week just like I do.
Man, now, just to quote Al Davis, late great Raiders owner, just win, baby. Man, I don't care.
All you got to
do. Georgia beat them 13-12. That tells you everything you need to know about Kentucky. You know what I mean? They can beat anybody any Saturday.
They can buckle down. They can bog you down. They can make an offense stall. You have got to do your part to stay ahead of the chains and keep the wheels moving forward.
Yeah, they have SEC football players, for real SEC football players. They have a viable NIL network at Kentucky. If you don't think they're paying folks good money to play football there, you're mistaken. This is not the Kentucky Rich Brooks. This is not Tim Couch and 10 couches. This is literally, guys who we'll see on Sundays. And Rebels got to play. Man, you cannot stub your toe right here. You cannot do that. Like I said, just win. Love for it to be pretty. We'd love to beat them, 3 scores. Everybody covers. Everybody throwing money in the air like Scrooge McDuck and DuckTales. But man, just win. Every game. If Ole Miss wins every game on the rest of their schedule by 1 point, who would be
We're
happier?
good.
Who? Yeah, doesn't matter. Win the last game played by 1 point, right? That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Fine
Yeah.
by me.
Just win.
Just keep winning.
But
That's
in
right.
a technical world, I do get frustrated by defensive penalties that are unnecessary.
Yes.
For instance, we had a tough time grabbing a few folks last week. Man, just make a play. If a commentator says every week, turn your head around, you should know to turn your head around, and you do. And I know it's tough in the moment, but man, just remember mechanics. Be sound there. Don't grab them. Make a play. Turn around, make a play on the ball. Our defensive line is tough. I mean, legit. Best one I've ever seen. You know what I mean? It just in Oxford, that is. I would like to see continued domination defensively. Now they're going to slow us down a little on offense. They're going to get some first downs. We're not going to be
no doubt about it.
We're not going to be getting all these short fields. Don't look for us, to be, dancing in the end zone and dusting off the football like in the Water Boy and be 52-0, nothing like that. But I mean, if 27-13, I mean, I'm just saying, 30-14, somewhere in there, I could see that. Fine by me.
Okay.
And that'll show me everything I need to know. We were able to handle an SEC squad that is legit. And, Mark Stoops, longest tenured coach in the SEC now, I'm pretty sure. Right. Got a really good staff. They do a great job there. He is a good football coach, and he is able to delegate responsibility well. And I think we pull away late. Now, I think that cover line, if it's like 16.5 or something like that.
17.5.
That's a lot. I'd stay away with it if I was a bed man, but I could see it getting there late. And I could see it being 17, missing by half point. I could just see it a 31-14. I would love a defensive touchdown. I would love to see a scoop and score, a pick six, or maybe some sort of return. I would love that this week to give us some excitement and not have to generate everything with the offense, this week, because we will need some help from the defense other than just stops, I believe. But we will need to force some turnovers.
Yeah. I'm looking for the line of scrimmage each side. I say it every single week, and I'm going to say it until the season's over with. I want the offensive line, the defensive line to prove to me that they can play in this league at a high level, because they are going to play a high level offensive and defensive line in Kentucky this weekend. We have not played that so far this year. They need to hold their own. They need to stand their ground. Defensively, we've got to get penetration. Make Vandegrift throw the ball. That's what we've got to do. We've got to shut down the run, make him beat us.
I don't trust him. It ain't spelled right.
It ain't spelled right. That's it. It just ain't spelled right. It ain't right.
I'd call them little
–
little mediocre vids. That's what I'd call him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's him. And but overall, if they can do that and we can come out of this with a stress-free win, and by stress-free, I don't mean winning by 20-something points.
And healthy.
Yeah, it might be close, but I never have in doubt the outcome of the game, right? Like maybe it's a 10-point game in the fourth quarter or something, and we're just kind of coasting by, score a touchdown late, whatever it may be. So that's kind of what I'm looking for this weekend, and really excited to get it going.
Is this my week for my big tight end game? I've been calling it every week.
I hope so. Yeah,
he's awesome.
Be a good time for.
It's like we don't need him, so we don't throw him the ball very often, and
But he's
bad news. He's bad news, and I think it's going to be a lot of the focus is on Trey Harris, Juice Wells, different folks like that. It might be the game. Might be.
Yeah.
Might be.
Jordan Watkins always seems to hit a big play over the middle at some point during the game since he came back, right? So
he's got really good hands, by the way.
Oh, man, he's incredible. He's a great route runner, has really good hands. Doesn't have the elite speed, but he's so good at getting open.
Do you know who you just described?
Who's that?
Chris Collins.
Yeah. And Bill Flowers.
Yeah, and this guy's our third best receiver. Chris Collins is graduating with, career records at Ole Miss back then. That just shows you how far we've come as a program.
Yeah, it's definitely different. So, all right, buddy, well, before we get out of here, do you have anything else for me?
Yeah, man, I got one for you. I always like to do a trivia question, and I got one for you today. This will be a soft tosser for you. but I'm not going to give you the opponent. Okay. I'm not going to give you the opponent. So make you think a little bit more. In 2009, would Ole Miss Rebel running back set the single game rushing yards mark with 282 rushing yards in a single game?
Brandon Baldwin.
Incorrect.
2009?
2009. I have Dexter McCluster against Tennessee.
Oh my God, that was the Tennessee game, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't tell you Tennessee, because if I'd have said Tennessee,
on me. Yeah.
you'd have had it. I knew it.
Yeah.
We'll get back in the we'll get back in the win column next week. We'll have you on, and I would say next week's going to be a 90s question. I've already got it ready.
Okay.
So good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All
It'll be one that'll tug on your heartstrings for sure. But yeah, it was in 2009.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Really licking my wounds over that one. I'm going to be sulking on that one for a week now. That one's going to eat at me a little bit.
Well,
definitely, because I was at that game. I mean, I was sitting there watching every damn bit of it. Ned or Lane Kiffin yelling at Ed Orgeron on the sideline, telling him go find him one of those.
I thought that was kind of the reason I would use it this week. It's kind of all ties together. And shout out to Dexter, best dog ever.
That's right.
Best dog.
Damn
ever.
right. My man. God.
Absolutely. Yep.
Speaking of tugging at my heartstrings, BB, man.
I know. Well, hey, man, I tell you what,
listen,
your show is great. I want to tell everybody that your show is great. You don't get to say that about what you do on here. You can't say we do a good job. Man, you do. You and Anthony and Chad, I enjoy y'all's gambling show. I enjoy your and Anthony's recaps on Sundays. And you being able to pull these folks from other colleges that we're about to play is huge insight. And you being able to get somebody from Kentucky is neat, and you had somebody from Georgia Southern, and man, you're doing big things. And I'm really proud of you. Keep up the great work.
I appreciate it, buddy, and I appreciate you joining me every single week. Tell these people real quick one more time where they can find the call-in, the final show on Fridays, and where they can find you on Twitter, because y'all post a lot of stuff on there as well.
Absolutely. Well, you can find us on Twitter at MS98scores. And you can find us on Friday nights on your radio dial here in North Mississippi, from DeSoto County to Highway 82, all the way to the Alabama state line, all the way to the Mississippi Delta. You can find us on Miss 98, which is 97.5 on your radio dial. If you're here in Jason Aldean and Florida Georgia line and Darius Rucker before 9:30, you have found the right place. And stick around for some fun. And you can also I think it's miss98.net is our website, and we have an awesome Miss 98 app that you can listen to as well. And you can check out everything we got going on. Like Derek has said, we have the best in scores, entertainment, coaches calls, and then awesome journalists like him, and and other Ole Miss like minded folks. We've had Brad Logan in the past. We have Jared Redding every week.
Jared Redding,
Jared's awesome. So we appreciate y'all calling in, and everybody that listens. Legit, it's huge. Because of the people all over the state that tune in and chime in. And we're very thankful for it. And we'll keep doing it.
Very good, man. Look, can't wait to talk to y'all again on Friday night. Tune into the show at 9:30. And if you're listening to this right now, this is going to be posted first. Keep your eye out, because on Wednesday morning, I will have a Kentucky preview show out with a Kentucky beat writer from 247 Sports. We'll be doing that later on tonight. We'll release that in the morning. So y'all hop on over there Wednesday morning to find that, after you check out what my man BB is saying here about high school sports. And Brian, I appreciate you joining me again, and we'll do it again next week.
Thanks, brother. Later.